To everyone outside, Daniel's life looked perfect, no cracks, no stains. But perfection hides secrets, and what he left behind that night wasn't just silence. Stay with me. The truth is darker than you imagine. The afternoon sky over Enugu was heavy with rain clouds, the kind that made the air smell of wet earth even before a drop fell. In the small but neat kitchen of the Okoro family, Grace Okoro stood over a pot of yam, humming softly. The sweet scent of palm oil mixed with the steam. From the sitting room, the hum of the TV drifted in, where her 8-year-old son Daniel sat sketching an airplane, the kind his father used to fly. Then the landline rang, its shrill tone cutting through the sound of rain starting to patter on the roof. Grace wiped her hands on her wrapper and picked it up. "Hello," she said, smiling. The voice on the other end was tight, broken. "Madam, please sit down. It's Chinedu from the airline. I'm sorry. Captain Okoro's plane went down. There were no survivors." The receiver slipped from her hand. No, she screamed, clutching her chest. Daniel ran in. "Mummy, what happened? Where's Daddy?" She pulled him close, sobbing. "He is gone. Daniel, he is gone." 2 weeks later, the funeral drew black-clad mourners, the air thick with dust and incense. Daniel could barely see over the rows of chairs. His father's brothers, Emmanuel and Ifani, stayed behind after the burial. 3 days later, they called a family meeting. Emmanuel cleared his throat. "Grace, you know my brother's property belongs to the Okoro family, and there are things we have noticed." Ifani leaned forward. "Since my brother died, your eyes have been shining too much. People say you might know why the plane fell." Grace's eyes widened. "You dare say I kill my husband?" Emmanuel stood. "We can't risk a witch in this house. Pack your things. Leave before sunset." That evening, Grace and Daniel stood outside the locked gates with one gonna-must-go bag. The streets roared with kiki horns, shouts of traders, and the smell of suya mixed with petrol. They slept that night in the corridor of an unfinished building, the cement floor cold under their backs. Grace stared into the darkness, her arm around her son, vowing, "I will raise you, Daniel, even if I have to sell my blood to do it." The slums of Abakba were a maze of narrow alleys and rusted zinc roofs. Here, Grace rented a single room at the back of a noisy compound. The window had no glass, only a torn curtain. Every morning before sunrise, she was on the street, balancing a basin of sachet water. Pure water, 10 naira, she called. Some days, she washed clothes until her hands were raw, bent over on farms until her back ached, or carried blocks at building sites just to buy Gary for supper. Daniel saw it all. Too young to work, but old enough to understand hunger. At school, classmates whispered, "That boy's mother is a witch." Others laughed at his torn uniform. One break time, 2 boys sneered as they passed, always looking like he slept in a gutter. Daniel bit his lip, swallowing the urge to shout. Words wouldn't change their hearts. Years passed. Daniel grew tall and strong, helping his mother with heavy loads. Against all odds, he gained university admission. Grace cried over the letter. But school fees, books, and rent became mountains Grace could not climb. Daniel skipped meals, walked long distances, and wore the same jeans for weeks. Eventually, unpaid fees forced him out. When he returned home, Grace wept. "I have failed you." "No, Mama," Daniel said, but inside, anger at life began to harden. One hot afternoon, Daniel was carrying blocks at a construction site when a sleek black SUV rolled in. The driver, tall, confident, in a white linen shirt, stepped out. It was Michael, his old schoolmate. "Daniel, is this really you?" Michael asked, eyeing the cement dust on his clothes. "Yes," Daniel said quietly. Michael handed him a card. "Call me next week. I might have something for you." That night, Daniel lay awake, replaying Michael's rich, confident image. The next morning, he began the long walk to Michael's estate. His sandals scraped the gravel, his throat dry under the sun. At last, he reached number 50 Odious Crescent, a mansion with gleaming black gates and a driveway curving around a fountain. Inside, Italian sofas, glass windows, and a chandelier glowed like sunlight. "I'm sorry, I have to rush out," Michael said after a quick chat. "Come back tomorrow." When Daniel returned, Michael served him steaming jollof rice, plantains, and grilled chicken, a feast Daniel hadn't tasted in years. "My brother," Michael said casually, "all this you see, it's from scamming foreigners. But it's not ordinary. You need cleansing to attract real clients." Daniel froze. His mother's warning echoed. Quick money ends in destruction. But the road out of poverty was laid before him. That night, he couldn't sleep. Hunger wrestled with conscience. In the morning, he called, "I'm ready." Michael trained him, fake profiles, convincing strangers, making lies sound like truth. 2 weeks later, they visited a mud-walled hut on the town's outskirts. Inside sat Baba Sefu, a sharp-eyed old man. "I can make you rich beyond dreams. But once you start, there is no turning back," he said. For 7 days, Daniel bathed with strange soaps, drank bitter concoctions, and ate raw meat while chants echoed at night. On the final day, Baba Sefu said, "You must pay. Sacrifice your mother, or promise never to give her a single coin." The words cut like glass. Daniel whispered, "Spare my mother. I will never give her anything." A door closed in his life forever. 2 mornings later, his phone lit up with foreign clients eager to send money. By evening, millions of naira sat in his account. Weeks blurred, a luxury apartment, 2 cars, fine clothes, restaurants. But every time his phone showed Mama, he pressed ignore. In the slum, neighbors whispered, "Daniel is rich, but abandoned his mother." Grace told herself, "He will come for me soon," but cried at night. One day, she found his address and went to the estate. At the gate, she pleaded, "Tell him I'm here." The guards laughed. When Daniel's SUV rolled out, she ran forward, waving. "Daniel, my son." Jaw tight, he stared ahead and drove past. Tears blurred his vision, but Baba Sefu's warning roared in his mind. "If you help her, you will die." Grace fell to her knees, sobbing in the dust. A month later, Daniel sat in traffic and spotted an old woman and boy selling oranges. Her walk reminded him of his mother's. His chest caved. He turned and drove to the slum. "Where's Mama?" he asked a neighbor. The woman's eyes filled with pity. "Daniel, your mother died last week. She's in the mortuary." The ground vanished beneath him. He collapsed, crying, "Mama, I'm sorry." The next day, the city buzzed. Daniel was found hanging in his bedroom, a note beside him. "I could live without the money, but not without my mother." Life will test your patience. Quick shortcuts often lead to deep regrets. True success is built on hard work and persistence, not the traps of bad friends. Choose your company wisely. Some smiles hide the hands that will push you over the edge. If you have watched to the end, thank you. Please hit the subscribe button and let me know what you feel about the story or where you're watching from. Thank you.